Come on. We will see. This is always fun. Okay, cool. So let me check and make sure that we are live here with Wendy. We are. Cool. Hi, everybody. This is always so awkward starting with Zoom, but super pumped to be here with Wendy and Aldhamen. I pronounced that right this time, right?
Aldhamen. Nobody ever gets it right, even if they say it like 100 times. My best friend doesn't even know how to say it right.
Okay. Cool. Well, I am super pumped to talk to you and let my audience get to know who you are, to get to know, our work together and the leaps and bounds that you made while we were working together and continue to make. So I have some notes and then we'll just kind of like go off of all the things. Okay. So let me introduce you. So Wendy does a lot of things. She is a leader in the dental industry in her city in Lansing, Michigan, and the surrounding areas. She owns a dental staffing and consulting agency. She also just added on coach to her repertoire. And so she coaches and helps develop dental industry professionals. Did I get all of that right? Is there anything else that you're doing that I don't know of yet?
I know, right? Overall, that's a very good summary.
Cool. And so today we're going to talk about where she was 6 months ago when we first started working together and what her goals were then and how she blew them out of the water within like the first 3 months, all while exploring pleasure and play and really remembering to take care of herself. And we'll probably talk about her chickens at some point.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to talk about her goals and then her new stretch goals because, sometimes we set goals that are more realistic so we're not to be disappointed. And we had a big surprise on one of our last calls. Wendy, did I forget anything before we move into the next piece?
No, I don't think so.
Is there anything you want to add about who you are, what you do, or what people need to know about you?
No.
Okay. So do you remember how we met? Because we've been connected for a long time.
Yes. I reached out to the company that you used to work with and I asked.
Nameless.
Yes. And I can't actually remember the name of it right now anyway, so that's totally good.
No problem.
And I reached out and I think I just selected somebody or they gave me somebody and that somebody was you to do like the initial discovery call. Gotcha. And then I wasn't ready for it financially at the time. And then I did a lot more like me work. And then I reached out to you again, I think still when you were with the company, just to kind of see some pricing on the overall like life coaching. Mm-hmm. And then after you left there, then I was like, okay, good. Cause I don't really want to work with like a big company. I'm more like I like to work with either individuals or smaller businesses. And, then I reached out to you individually because I think we've had like 3 discovery calls in total over like 5 years or something maybe. Mm-hmm. But I've followed you and it just, when you just feel like you kind of have a connection with somebody, I just kind of felt like I know that I'm going to work with you. I just don't know when yet. And so finally I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do it. Like I have to do it. I have to invest in myself because that's the only way that I'm going to progress. And show did.
Totally. Well, and that was really important for me to remember and to also remind people too, is like, yes, sometimes people come into our orbit and they hire us and they're like, oh my God, you're exactly what I've been looking for. And I would say like oftentimes that's actually not the case, that it's people that we've built relationships with who have been in our community for a while. Yes, it's amazing when they hire us right away. And there's definitely that relationship building. And like sometimes it's like the offer isn't right, the timing's not right, the money, there's things going on. And this is a great reminder that it's we're in this for the long game. It's not just like put something out, put a bunch of content out and like expect to get hired immediately. It's really also about like delivering great content, building that trust. Like when you were ready, it was like, well, I already know who I'm hiring. It's just,
Yeah. When.
When exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So we started working together back in July, and it was only going to be 3 months, but then we ended up going into 6 months. We spread our sessions out a little bit. So I was reviewing the consultation form, like when I took notes from our consultation. Do you remember what you came to me for, or what you were wanting to work through and on?
So I remember wanting to do individual coaching and help individuals get into the job of their dreams and do customized resumes.
Yeah.
And then just like October, November, that kind of shifted and changed. And I'm very thankful that it did, because I'm having so much more fun doing this than I ever did doing customized resumes. I still enjoy doing customized resumes, but like I get so much gratification doing what I'm doing now, and I'm really glad. And I had another business, which I think is why I tried to talk with you like 5 years ago. I started a business and it failed. And I will tell you, for anybody who has had a failed business, it is not a bad thing at all. Just take all of those problems and change them into like, how can I build upon this? What did I learn from that? And how can I do better? Because if I didn't have that, I can guarantee that I still wouldn't have like shit for money in my bank account right now. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. So so when you came to me, you were offering, and I was looking at your price point too. So you either had or wanted to have a digital, like a self-paced digital course that was $150. You wanted to be doing and creating resumes for people, and then doing mock interviews, which was priced at like $104. But then what like was presented to me, where I was like, okay, so here's like the discrepancy, was that you wanted to be making a minimum of $5,000 a month. But what would feel really good would be $7,000 a month. And so like, as we were looking at like where your price point was and what you were offering with where you wanted to be, like there was like this huge gap. And so, and then there was a struggle with finding those clients too. So finding the resumes. And so tell people what you're doing now.
Now I do primarily hiring for dental offices. And I've done some coaching for the whole office. I have one office that I'm doing that with now, but primarily I'm doing recruiting for offices.
Yeah, cool. And so how, like, as we were working together, because I remember we were like 3 months in and things just like took off, and you were like, I think you were about 3 months into working together where you were already able to stop working at your other job.
Yeah, well, that position was only supposed to be 2 days a week. And I was working as a dental assistant, and she ended up giving 1 week's notice. And so I remember like telling her and telling the office manager, which I'm good friends with, like, this whole place is a disaster, it needs to be organized. So I reorganized everything and hired 2 employees for them. And like completely changed the whole thing around, because like it shouldn't take you 15 minutes to set up a room, it should take you like 3. And so we made it easier for anybody walking in, which that's how an office really should be to make sure that everyone's organized is like, everybody can do all of the things and it's not going to be super difficult. But then once I got the people hired and they went on full time, then I was able to back off. And like around that time, I think I gained a lot of confidence because it was that office that I did my first hiring for. And then I got referred and referred and referred. And I was telling people at that time, like, hey, I can do the recruiting for your office. And that's kind of how it snowballed, is just literally one person. And then I could actually post like my experience and how it went. And yeah, that was really like the snowball was that first hire.
Yeah. So this is great too, because I remember when we were working together, you were like, well, I need to fix my website, I need all this. And then all of these referrals started coming in. And I was like, well, I mean, if you're getting hired and you have more business than you know what to do with, like, obviously your website can wait for now. And so you've really built your business on referrals. Was that, and it seems like it was kind of like by accident, but amazing.
It kind of was. Yeah, it kind of was a little bit on accident. The office manager that I'm good friends with, she's like, I don't have time to do any hiring. Do you know of anybody? And I'm like, let me put something together for you. Let me give you a proposal. And then you tell me if you want me to move forward with this. Cause I don't want to just like, cause also I've had a Facebook group for the Lansing area for dental jobs since like 2014 or 15. And I knew that it was going to be something favorable, but I didn't know ever where it was going to go. And I opened this business, like I said, like this, doing the recruiting just since October. So 2014, 15, I never knew that this was going to happen, but it was a really good setup. So if you ever think like, hey, I wish there was that Facebook group, just freaking make it, because it might end up helping you in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you followed the nudges on that. Like you're like, I'm not quite sure where this is going to go, but this just feels right. Yeah.
Well, and along the way, people will like message me and say, like, don't tell my boss, but I'm looking for another position, or this is what I want to get into. And so just along the way, I've probably hired like 50 to 100 people, not just like saying, here's a resume for you. And then they would get put into that office and they would love it. And so all along I've kind of been doing this, and my husband's always like, you need to get paid for this. And I'm like, how do I just get paid? Like all I'm doing is just giving them a resume, you know? And so it's been interesting, but I guess all along I knew that this was going to be my destiny. Not really.
Yeah. So when we first started working together, I know that we had many conversations around like your pricing and, you know, what felt good. And there was definitely a gap, like I said, like from where you were and what you felt comfortable to price, and then where you needed to be in order to not like be working 80 hours a week. Like there's no point in starting your business if you're just going to be like replicating the shit that you're doing in the other like corporate business and stuff, right? So what were some of the shifts that you experienced around like your pricing and your belief in yourself and the value of what you were offering?
I quickly realized that charging $2,200 to hire for an office just doesn't feel that great. And if I want to be able to be flexible with my time, hire somebody on to do the easier things and also post and promote well on Indeed, I have to up that. And so I was almost kind of forced into doing it because at the time in the beginning, I was like, well, shoot, I can only really bring on like one office every week or every other week. And now I'm like, 3-week, bring it on, baby. And so, but back then, you know, obviously, like you were just saying, that you can kind of streamline things and make it a lot easier. And holy shit, it's gotten so much easier over the last few months. And now I'm almost wondering if I should like bump the price down because like I feel like I'm almost taking money, but just because it's gotten so easy. But then again, I go back to thinking about dentistry. I know.
No.
I go back to thinking about dentistry and how much a crown costs is what I always go back to. And so in dentistry, this makes a lot more sense than probably what non-dental people get. But A crown, let's say, costs $1,000. If it takes you a half an hour less, are you going to charge less? No.
Thank you. Right. You're charging
So
for your skill, your
yeah.
expertise, and you have a really good track record of hiring really solid people for the offices. And there's like employee retention. And I mean, it just like it completely changes the cultures of the offices that you're hiring for. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what people are paying for. So like that's a great reminder too of like when we're charging for our services, we're charging for the transformation, we're charging for that experience, for that transmission, we're charging for all of those things. It's not just like this little like thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hour, the hour that it takes you, or a couple hours that it takes you.
Yeah. And I mean, they're all like super happy. And I keep wanting to like get an extra few minutes and just like literally write down all of like the wonderful like text messages and emails that I've been getting, because it's like absolutely insane how people are like, this is like you almost made this harder by giving me 4 excellent candidates versus trying to go out and find somebody. Like I want to hire all 4 of them. And, obviously she was joking, but to be able to send 4 excellent candidates to somebody and they're looking for personality, which you can't find personality looking at a resume. That's what like really is the golden ticket, is most people are not looking for what's on your resume. They're looking for your attitude and how you're going to be within the company.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, at what point were you like, holy shit, I can quit this other job? Because that was the ultimate goal. Like where you, hold on, let me bring it up. Let me see if it's here.
You mean working with my husband, that job,
Yeah.
or the assisting job? Yeah. So I knew that if I kept working with him, that either we were going to get a divorce or I was going to kill him. So I decided to leave and not kill anybody, not go to jail. And, so that's kind of why I had to get out, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't. So this whole time, like when I had my other business, it was very much always like, I always have something to fall back on, and that's working with my husband. And then once I was working with him, I'm like, this is not a fallback. This is not an okay thing. I
No,
have to do something else. Yeah. And if you stop giving yourself an option to fall back on something all the time, you will make it fucking happen. Just allow yourself and trust yourself. Do not give yourself a second option.
Mm-hmm. There is no plan B. I don't.
No.
I think it was Tony Robbins, even though he's like super problematic, but he said like, when you get to the island, burn the boats. Which is like, right, like when you get to, or when you have the idea, like just burn the bridges, burn the boats. I mean, not like be a dick, obviously, but like take failing off the table, take plan B off the table. Like this is it. And if this iteration doesn't work, then you just have plan A part 2, plan A part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great reminder. And so when we were first working, how long did you give yourself to quit your job?
I think I said till the end of the year, if I remember right. So like December 2020.
Okay. And then when were you able to?
I left in June with like fucking flags on.
Excellent. And so what were some of the like big mindset shifts that took place? Because I know that there was like, some worry about, especially with, what were you were doing before of like, how's this going to work? Where the hell am I going to find all these clients? Like, what the hell? So what would you say were some of the biggest shifts that you had around, well, let's just say about like your money mindset and like charging the prices that you're charging?
Well, to be honest, I had no idea what I was going to charge to do the hiring for that first office, but I did a little bit of research and found a lot of bigger companies. Now I know that I'm charging for smaller businesses, but a lot of bigger companies, they'll charge like $5,000 to $7,000 for a recruiting fee. And I was like, well, that's for corporate. This is a little bit different. Let's see how 2,200 feels, and then kind of go from there. And it was really just kind of testing the waters, and knowing that I was going to have to pay for Indeed and pay for some other posts and pay for a few things. And I was like, well, shit, if this isn't the right fee, then I will change it. And I will change it until I feel happy and satisfied with it. And so far, I think I've only had 2 people out of all of the proposals and stuff say like, you know, that's a little bit too much for me. And I mean, it can be, but on the other hand, how much time do you want to spend doing it? You probably don't. So,
yeah, it's like, well, what's this worth to you? Like, I take care of all of this. Well, you can just keep doing what you're actually good at, which is probably not like HR and hiring. It's probably dentist stuff. Yeah, definitely. So, we totally forgot to start with brags because it wasn't in my notes. So if it's like not written down, so we'll get to brags here in just a minute. But what were some of the things that I invited you to do that you hated or that you were resistant to, but that ended up being like a game changer?
But journaling, oh my God, I fucking hated it so much. I think it's just because I wasn't allowing myself to do like anything for myself, I guess. But when I was like getting prepared for this, I read back through the journals and like every single fucking thing happened. It's
Tell us more.
Stupid crazy. I'm making some amazing strides towards my end goal. I'm making amazing connections that will last. I'm being positive about my now and my future. I see myself winning and excelling and constantly growing and achieving more. Bitch, what? And just like everything that I wanted to make happen and be thankful for, those are all of the things that I'm literally thankful for now. But when I was writing it, I was like, this isn't gonna fucking happen. I want this to happen, but it's probably not gonna happen. And like, it's just so cool to see how I thought that this was gonna happen. And I put these journaling notes away, and I didn't really look at them again. And then now all of a sudden it's like, shit, man, check that out.
So that's interesting. So it sounds like, because this is like a big thing that, you know, I work with a lot of my clients around, and like myself too, like we have an idea of what we think is like how things are going to show up and how the money's going to show up and what it's going to look like. And oftentimes it doesn't look like where we ended up in our coaching was not where we started at all. And it took on like a completely different direction. So it was a matter of us like, okay, you know, we need to pivot together. Like, what are our new goals? Like, what are you working towards now so that we can make sure that you're on track for that? Yeah. And it didn't look anything like when on our consultation.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I was a little bit fearful of when I first posted that I will do recruiting for dental offices is I thought that people were going to be like, oh, you're changing your mind again. Because like I said, it was already a failed business and everybody in the community knew, because I have that Facebook group and I post in there, and nobody gives a shit. Let's be real. Like, if you tried a thing and it didn't work and you try a different thing, then like, if anybody gives a shit, then they don't really need to be in your life, I feel like.
Right. So. That's probably not your ideal client anyway.
No.
True. So tell us, because like your like big brag on Voxer when we were talking was that you went from making $7,200 in all of 2020 to in January you made $19,650.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that brag.
So once this proposal is signed and sent over, which will probably happen this week, my 2021 will now be up to 38,000 and some change. Yeah. So, and then I sent out another proposal. Once we get off the phone, I have another one. So it's just, it's growing. And I never thought that the need was there until I started posting and telling people this is something that I can do for you. And people are like, let me flock to that because I've hired 20 people in the last 5 years and they all leave. Why is this happening? Well, you're probably not great at doing this thing. And that's okay because I am. And let me help you be able to just give yourself permission to pass the baton. But this was brags, right? Right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're talking about that brag in particular, that because like that was like
Okay.
a huge moment of like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
And just like too, like how rapidly things can change. Like once your mindset's in, a good place and you have that win of like when you got hired by that one office for the $2,200, you were like, oh shit, okay, like this is something that people need.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started referring you, and you're not like super active on social media.
No, not at all. I haven't posted to tell people that I'm doing hiring basically since probably like November. But I do comment in some Facebook groups for dental. I do, like, people will say, I can't find anybody. And so I'll comment and then I get like 3 more leads, which is why I haven't been doing any posts because I'm like, I don't want like 20 people to flock to me because I don't have time for you.
Totally. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Which is a great problem to have, right? Because then like,
Yeah.
We've completed our time together, but like one of the last things that we talked about in our sessions was that you're talking about hiring team members now to handle certain aspects. So it went from 7,200 to like blown the fuck up and now looking for team members.
I'm a hired one on Friday. I had my sister working with me for a little while and I was like, so what do you think? Is this something you want to do long term? And she's like, no. I love you and I like doing this, but I don't have time for it with my career and my kids and blah, blah, blah. So I did find a virtual assistant to work with me and she'll be working like 5 to 10 hours a week. And that's about all she can commit to right now. So I might end up finding another virtual assistant in the next few months, but we'll see how that goes.
Look at you.
Yeah. That was my goal, to be able to hire somebody by June.
Yeah.
So I think I exceeded that.
And so one of the things too that we really worked on and that I work on with everybody is really like learning how to take care of themselves and not working weekends and making sure that there's like more play and more fun and more pleasure. So what did that look like before, when you were working with Mo and doing all of the things to what it looks like now?
So you do a great job at telling me to do all of those things, but I think since you know me, that I'm not great at following directions very well all the time. But now that I have this virtual assistant hired and I was working with my sister, I was able to take a bit more time off and go to sleep earlier, not have to work until like 10 or 11. And now with everything moving along quicker, I am going to work 2 evenings a week, which, because, people are working during the day. And so I have to be able to give them that opportunity. And then I'm only going to work in an office 2 days in a week because it just stretches me too thin. And that includes consulting and everything. So a lot of the things that I've decided recently, since I've been able to hire this person on and since I've been so busy, was being able to take more me time. And oh my God, I did nothing for my business yesterday and I felt naked. So I like to see things far into the future and envision and see like what is actually going to happen. And so over the next few weeks, I'm going to be able to take a lot more time off and have some more me time because I can solidify these things a lot quicker. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like when you're unlearning all of that like corporate stuff, it feels really like wildly uncomfortable to not work on a weekend, or like even if you take like a Wednesday off or something, you just like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started doing that, I would like feel sick to my stomach. Like, I'm not working, this doesn't count. And now I'm doing like Facebook lives in the bath. And I didn't start working until today, until I don't know, like an hour before our live. Um, and like as you, because this is something that I've been talking to some of the people in the mastermind about, which is like you feel like it's not enough, like you're not doing enough, like the things that you're doing like doesn't count, that you have to be doing more, more, more. And so my job is really to help you, all of you, remember too, like that's just not how that has to go. Like if that's the story that you want to feed into, then have at it, but that's not what has to be true.
And it's just gonna wear you down so much faster. And like I went shopping last week and like I don't spend a ton of money on myself usually. And I spent like $500 on new clothes and I was like, oh, I have new clothes. Thank you, Jesus. And it was just really nice. And if I would have done that like at the beginning of the year, I would have felt like these 5 or 6 hours that I'm taking for myself, I could be making money or I could be doing things. But once you get that snowball rolling, just know that like shit will get better and life will be better.
I can totally relate, because it used to be like I couldn't, like, not only did I spend this amount of money, but I could have been making this much money in this amount of time. So then it's
Right.
like this much money, right? And then I'd be sick to my stomach and I'd like probably return some of the clothes or be like, actually, I didn't like this anyway, and like tell myself that I didn't like things and then return them when I really just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to keep them because I just felt so bad. So before we go, so on our on one of our last calls, you were talking about like what your goal was.
Oh yeah.
And then later you texted me later and you're like, hold on. If I keep this momentum, like based on these numbers, which like I will say too, like that's not how I run my business. Like I don't run
Uh-huh.
spreadsheets and I don't run like projections. That's not something that I teach. If clients are doing that on their own, then that's like
Mm-hmm.
that's their thing. But it's sometimes how people like get caught up and tripped up and like
Yeah.
panicked, right? But like with you, you did it and you were like, I'm like way, because even when you gave me the number, I'm like,
Yeah.
that doesn't, I don't know. I think the number like 140 came to me.
So the initial goal was 80,000 for the year.
Yeah.
And so I'm not always like a numbers person, but I found that when I do look back at the numbers, what is realistic. So last year, in all of the money that I made with working with my husband and doing this and doing some other things, I think I brought in like 6,700 or 67,000, something like that. And then I was like, oh, well, 80 is not that far off. Like, just sit down, you know? And then when I was doing some more calculations and I thought, I could do this many hires in a month, and it just seems like my calculations kept going to like 144. It just, that number kept coming up. I forget to tell you that my new goal is 240.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is like one thing that I hear too, like this is like a great reminder, because like that is not where I am in my coaching business. Like my
Yeah.
goal this year is 6 figures. So it's just a good reminder too that sometimes like people get in this in their head, like I have to hire somebody that's so much further ahead than me.
Yeah.
Like if I want to hit this goal, then I need to hire people that are hitting this. And that's like obviously not the case. Like, I mean, you're blowing my ass out of the water, right? But like it's more about like how can I set you up with the confidence, with feeling really grounded and sure of yourself and trusting yourself. Like how can we build that into your business so that you can, I mean, if it's 240, then like what's keeping it from like 250, 260? Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And then really like leaning into that and trusting yourself. So that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and remembering too that we tell ourselves stories around what we think things have to look like, oh, if I want to coach, you know, if I want to hit six figures, and I have to make sure that my coach is making multiple six figures to help me get
Yeah.
there, and that's just not true.
So secretly in my head, so which is also let's I know that you used to do a lot more posting about how much like monetarily you bring in every month.
Mhm.
And I would really feed off of that because in my head, I am always like, okay, so my coach is coaching me and I want to be like that A+ student because I was shit in high school. I'll tell you that. Um, and so I'm always like, okay, so if Shannon made 8,000 this month, I can beat that. Like totally, I can beat that. And so like it's just kind of almost a little bit of a competition in my head with myself. And if it's like, okay, so I didn't beat that in October, let's try for November. And worst case scenario, we don't hit it until January, but we're going to fucking hit it in January type of thing.
The thinking.
So yeah. And so it's like, it doesn't matter necessarily how much your coach makes, because what if your coach only wants to work 2 days a week and this person wants to make $80,000 a year working only 2 days a week? Like,
Right.
you know, it doesn't necessarily matter. And just if you vibe with your coach or with that coach, then just fucking go with it. You know, there's always something in your gut telling you to go forward with something and just allow it to tell you what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else um, that you think people should know, or if they're like on the fence, either signing up for one-on-one or the mastermind, the next round of the mastermind's coming up, what would you say to somebody who's like, oh, I want to, but
So that's kind of how I was when I first signed up with you. I was like, I really want to, but I don't think financially I can do it. Make a way to be able to do it, figure it out, work with Shannon however she can help you work it out, or another coach, whatever, you know, whoever you want to work with. um, and just know that if when you invest in yourself, you're gonna reap the rewards. And I took a digital course and was not a fan of it. I needed that one-on-one to be able to like personally say like, so tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. And so just allow yourself to financially be stretched a little bit. It'll be okay. And you might not necessarily make the money back within the first like 30 days, you know, but um, don't let that monetary issue keep you stagnant because I don't remember what I spent on coaching with you, but like I fucking like times that by 20, you know,
yeah,
from what I brought in. So just know that when you start investing in yourself, the money will come back to you if that's your main concern. Worst case scenario is you're out a few $1,000s, you know, I mean, literally that's the worst case scenario. And is that really like the worst thing? No.
well, the thing with that too is like, I mean, sometimes the results like don't happen as fast as yours. So I think
Yeah.
that's like important to say too. Like, and you're still getting the support and like learning that trust piece and really building in like that trust and the safety and also like the mindset piece and really learning how to believe in yourself and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think we should have like a disclaimer, like, on the weight loss commercials and stuff where it's like, these results are not typical. Not that it's like not typical, but like sometimes things happen quickly, right? And then other times, like things happen in the timing that they're supposed to happen, where it takes a minute to build that trust and to really like work on that mindset, because we're like deconditioning from so much shit. So much shit. So that's good to remember too.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm so proud of you. And
Thanks.
yeah, it's been just a pleasure working with you and just watching you like take all of the things and just run with it. It's been really cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So I will see you in my group, Wild Woman Rising. If you want to connect about one-on-one or the mastermind coming up, which other one you'd like to chat about, I will put the I'll put the link in the comments. And we can just set up a call. And it's not going to be like a convince you to sign up or anything like that, but just really figuring out, where are you? Where do you want to be? How can we get you there? And what can this look like for you? How can I support you? All right. Have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week. And I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.